Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Danny Laurel. Now here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. Now before we delve into these biggest business stories, the Philippine Embassy in Turkey has confirmed the deaths of at least 2 Filipinos following the devastating magnitude 7.8 quake. In a tweet this morning, President Bongbong Marcos extended his condolences to the families of the victims who were initially reported missing in Antakya. The embassy says it has evacuated 34 Filipinos together with their spouses and children who are now en route to Ankara. As of this morning, the overall death toll in Turkey and Syria has passed the 21,000 mark. Meanwhile, the Filipino contingent sent aid to disaster relief efforts, and that has been deployed to the Turkish city of Adiyaman. The Philippines is also preparing a possible team to take over in the event that recovery efforts takes longer than 2 weeks.
Ang aming assignment, Ed, ay sa Adiyaman. Ang initial, medyo konti pa yung responders doon. May tinatawag kaming urban search and rescue kasi it's still a populated area ang tinamaan. So it's classified as urban search and rescue. Wherein ang kasama ang battery under which is yung structural collapse rescue operation. So meron tayong ganung skills, no? So ang Philippine team, meron tayong skills in detecting. So meron tayong mga machine katulad sa MMDA, it's like a earphone that we can hear people if there are like movements underneath the rubbles. Kahit wala tayong K9, pero we have the technology. Meron tayong mga breaching equipment o kailangan natin tibagin yung mga pader. Meron din tayong mga ropes.
Meanwhile, majority of Philippine banks plan to ramp up agricultural lending in the next 12 months. A countryside bank survey showed that 76% of bank branches plan to expand lending to the agriculture sector. Around 93% of thrift banks confirmed their plan, while over half of universal and commercial banks responded positively. The survey report said these banks claim that they see great potential of this sector for growth and development. It was jointly conducted by the Bangko Sentral and the Agriculture Department's Agricultural Credit Policy Council. Earnings of the country's banking industry soared in 2022. That's off of the back of higher interest income and trading gains. Data from the Bangko Sentral showed that the bank's cumulative net income jumped 37.5% to 309 billion pesos. That's from 224.7 billion pesos in 2021. Earnings growth was driven by a year-on-year increase of nearly 13% in net interest income to more than 746 billion pesos. Meanwhile, non-interest income grew by 24%, while trading income surged by 70%. Earnings from fees and commissions also went up on an annual basis. Now, the Agriculture Department vows to help vendors find cheaper sources of onions to help them sell within the suggested retail price. This as the DA found some vendors in Metro Manila selling onions for up to 200 pesos per kilo. That's way above the 125 pesos per kilo SRP for the imported red onions. The agency says it has recommended a supplier in Tondo selling onions for 95 pesos per kilo. However, buyers maintain that the retail price of onions will depend on vendors. The DA says it has also sent letters of inquiry to vendors caught selling onions for way more than the SRP.
Kailangan po natin makuha ang pangalan ng suppliers ng mga retailer para malaman natin bakit ganoon ang presyo. We will collate the reply of our retailers and that will be part of our analysis and investigation.
A House panel earlier launched a motu proprio inquiry into skyrocketing prices of agricultural commodities in the market. Now, during the hearing, Marikina Representative Stella Kimbo questioned the spike in onion demand from 2021 to 2022. Citing data provided by the Bureau of Plant Industry, Kimbo says the 39% increase is far from the average 5% increase posted annually in the 10 years prior.
The only available data nationwide is called the Family Income and Expenditure Survey. And I am almost sure that all you do is put in population growth. And that's a reasonable assumption. So explain to us. Kung wala kayong paliwanag, iniimbento nyo yan, and you are justifying the shortage.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Danny Laurel. AirAsia Philippines will add 10 planes to its existing 14 aircraft fleet in the country. AirAsia CEO Tony Fernandez said he expects the expansion to double the number of Filipino passengers. Now, globally, Fernandez also expressed confidence that the company will be able to restore its 204 planes. At least 50 more aircraft are needed to be redeployed for AirAsia to return to its pre-pandemic operations. The Securities and Exchange Commission has removed a total of 33 online lending platforms from the Google Play Store. The SEC said these lending platforms violated the memo circular on disclosure requirements and advertisements and reporting. Companies are required to register their LPs and include the corporate names and other details in their advertisements. The move against OLP applications is part of the SEC's campaign against illegal lending with the assistance of Google Philippines. President Bongbong Marcos and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida witnessed the signing of 7 key deals, that's including loan agreements for major railway projects in the Philippines. President Marcos also met with executives of Japanese companies in his ongoing working visit in Japan. Mon Gualvez with the details.
President Bongbong Marcos and Japan Prime Minister Fumio Kishida treats their first ever bilateral meeting in Tokyo as a historical breakthrough. That's because it coincided with the 50th anniversary of Japan-ASEAN friendship and cooperation. 7 agreements have been signed between the two nations.
President Marcos's visit to Japan gives us a renewed momentum for our two nations to further upgrade our bilateral partnerships we have seen in many areas over the recent years to an even higher dimension, and for us to make further contributions to the peace and stability of the region and the world.
The future of our relationship remains full of promise as we continue to deepen and expand our engagements across a wide range of mutually beneficial cooperation.
4 of the agreements are for the North-South Commuter Railway Extension Project, where 2 are loan agreements for the said project. They also signed an umbrella term of reference for a possible humanitarian assistance and disaster relief cooperation of the two nations, and memoranda of cooperation in the sectors of agriculture and information and communications technology. DFA Secretary Enrique Manalo, Finance Secretary Benjamin Diokno, and Agriculture Undersecretary Domingo Panganiban signed the contracts on behalf of the Philippines. Security has also been discussed, although there were no talks of a possible Visiting Forces Agreement or VFA between the Philippines and Japan.
I explained to the President such matters as Japan's national security strategy, and the President welcomed Japan's commitment to the free and open international order based on rules.
The Prime Minister and I have agreed to cooperate even more closely in areas of economic cooperation, security and defense cooperation, maritime security and safety, healthcare mechanisms, environmental commitments, and people-to-people exchanges.
The President earlier mentioned he's willing to discuss VFA if it will be brought up during the bilateral meeting. Yesterday, the President also sat on a roundtable meeting along with top executives of semiconductor, electronics, and wiring harness companies in Tokyo. The Philippine delegation was able to secure investment pledges that could create more than 10,000 jobs in the Philippines. The amount would be unveiled during the signing of letters of intent later today. Meanwhile, in the roundtable meeting with tourism stakeholders, the President highlighted how despite the pandemic, Japan was fourth in tourist arrivals in the Philippines.
But more than just being a major economic driver, we see the tourism industry to be a great pillar that fosters a deep love and pride of our country.
Japan is the only country that has a bilateral free trade agreement or FTA with the Philippines, the Philippine-Japan Economic Partnership Agreement or PJEPA. In 2021, Japan was the second biggest trading partner of the country. Meanwhile, around 4 p.m. yesterday here in Japan, President Marcos and First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos paid a courtesy visit to Emperor Naruhito and Empress Masako in Imperial Palace. This ended with the President inviting the Emperor to visit the Philippines as well. Today, the President will be attending more meetings with businessmen to help boost investment pledges for the Philippines. For News 5, Mon Gualvez, we are One News.
Now, a biotech startup is now the world's first de-extinction unicorn, aiming to bring back the dodo bird, woolly mammoth, and Tasmanian tiger. Here's what that could mean, courtesy of Bloomberg Quick Take.
The phrase dead as a dodo means something is unquestionably deceased. But the biotech startup Colossal Biosciences aims to resurrect the dodo, which humans killed off hundreds of years ago. Colossal also wants to bring back 2 other extinct animals, the woolly mammoth and the Tasmanian tiger. Investors just put a lot more cash into the company, making it the first de-extinct unicorn with a valuation of almost $1.5 billion. The company says that the work to bring back these animals will spark discoveries along the way, just as the space race drove scientific advances and products we still use today, like solar panels or the air purifier you bought on Amazon. For some investors, a live dodo is less important than the scientific breakthroughs generated in the push to de-extinction. Colossal has already spun off one software company and says other profitable breakthroughs could soon come in the fields of gene editing or artificial wounds. Now, for some people, reintroducing mammoths to Alaska or dodos to Mauritius sounds unrealistic or even silly. Colossal says mammoths could help fight climate change and dodos could help reverse biodiversity declines. Some climate and conservation experts scoff at those claims, saying that de-extinction is unpredictable and couldn't realistically solve such enormous problems. That said, one of Colossal's major investors did produce the movie Jurassic World, so if the company succeeds, You might be able to see mammoths roaming the Arctic wilderness someday, or even book a trip to Dodo Park.
And for more updates, visit News 5 The Philippine Star and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph. For more in-depth analysis, you can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account now. That's at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Danny Laurel. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News, all sides, all the time.